We got the breakdown of Week 10 right now on the Boardwalk on the Hotline. Our good pal, ESPN senior NFL insider KC Joyner, right here on the Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. KC, how are you?
Hey, a couple of Shastas. I'm here in Florida. We don't get those down here. I got to go back up north to get one of them.
It's a great weekend. It's a Friday. I have a couple Shastas as we watch a lot of these college football seasons coming out of the wire. We got some good NFL storylines, including, last night. No Tomlin last night. Tomlin kicked their butts.
Well, they took the opponent seriously, and it was that was an incredible showing. That was, you go into that matchup and you look at the offensive-defensive line matchups, you just think this is going to be a slugfest. And Pittsburgh did the slugging, and I don't know what in the world was with Carolina. They didn't look like they wanted to be there, which is surprising. But Thursday Night Football sometimes does that to you.
Yeah, I wonder, if that game would have been better on a Sunday, to watch that game, let them get the full week to kind of – I know we always clamor for great Thursday night matchups because we won them, but I thought that game was hurt a little bit last night because it was on a Thursday.
It is, and I think the later in the season that you get, the more that the Thursday night games struggle because teams now are starting to get a little wore down. That's why it's good we're getting some late season bye weeks, though. Maybe teams will be a little more rested and those Thursday night games will be better. But I'm still a fan of finding a way to get teams to have more lead time going into those contests. Don't know how you do it, but I just think that a lot of four-day work weeks, for short weeks like that, it does make for some bad football sometimes.
All right, let's get into Eagles-Cowboys first here. I like the breakdowns of this one. Let's start on the Eagles offense. They get Golden Tate back here. Dallas has a good defense, so how about some of the matchups? Let's look at the Eagles wideouts. Tate, Alshon, Aguilar, Ertz. You throw him in there against the Cowboys secondary here. What do we got?
I like the matchup. Cowboys has some pretty good cornerbacks, though. I do like the matchup of Ertz going up against probably Jeff Heath as their strong safety. They kind of rotate their safeties around, though, so I'm surprised that he saw Woods, but neither of them are shut down in coverage, so I think you can throw a lot to the tight end. Problem for them is that I've got Byron Jones rated as a red-rated cornerback. That's a cornerback that's going to give you some coverage problems. And I've also got Chidobe Awuzie as a red-rated cornerback, and he might play the slot, and he might be facing Aguilar there. Could move some things around because the way the Eagles move things around too. But I think you're good two cornerbacks that they want to really avoid, so they wouldn't need to go after Anthony Brown, which Golden Tate should line up against. So it could be a big game for Tate.
All right, you look at this matchup here, the Eagles' running game, which is non-existent. How does Dallas stop the run?
I tell you, the Eagles have a real tough problem in the running game because I do these analysis for ESPN's fantasy section looking at blocking matchups for the upcoming week, and I grade the matchups on I grade them based on its differential and its relative differential, meaning how strong is the matchup. Philadelphia They've got the second toughest run defense matchup this week is the easy way to put it. They ranked 24th in my run blocking metrics the last 5 weeks. Dallas ranks second. I think Dallas is really strong against the run. I think Philadelphia is going to have to throw the football if these metrics hold up because Dallas is just doing a fantastic job stopping the run.
Eagles offensive line, how will they be matched up with the pass rush of the Dallas Cowboys?
Not that much better on the passing side, to be honest. Philadelphia is that's the third least favorable matchup there because they've got the 22nd in pass blocking grades over the past 5 weeks, and Dallas is third in pass rushing. In fact, overall, Philadelphia has the worst blocking matchup of all of Week 10. They're just it's an overwhelming advantage for Dallas as far as their front seven versus Philadelphia. So I think this is going to be a game where you're going to have to find ways to get the receivers involved and make some plays on the outside and such. And I think they're going to have to use a lot of creative play calling because if the line doesn't play a lot better than it does, I think Dallas has a huge edge there.
All right. So it sounds like the Eagles' offense is going to have their hands full. This is a team that's struggling to score just 22 points a game, 28 points a game last week, but it doesn't sound like you think this is a week that they're going to break out.
I think this is a week where they're going to have to. It's going to be a week where they're going to have to ask Wentz to do some really creative things. I think this is the week to where if you're going to make the creative pages out of the playbook, this is the week to do it because Dallas is still undisciplined. They still make mistakes. You can look at what they did against Tennessee. They're not. You can beat them if you get creative about it. And I think Philadelphia is capable of playing better up front, but they've got to have the offensive line play better because it plays like it has been, and Dallas plays like they're capable of. That's a huge edge for the Cowboys.
All right, flip it around. Let's look at the Eagles' defense, how they match up. Dallas likes to run the ball, so let's start there. Eagles up front, Dallas offensive line. You do the offensive line breakdown stuff for ESPN.com, the Insider section, and I've been saying for a couple of years I think this line's on the decline and the way down. This year it seems that they're really struggling.
Dallas, over the past 5 weeks, ranks 31st in pressure rate allowed, pass pressure rate allowed. They're allowing pass pressure on 38.2% of their dropbacks. That's an incredibly high number. They're allowing a quarterback contact rate. How often their quarterback's getting hit? 22.7% of the time. It ranks 30th. They're allowing they're 27th in sack rate allowed. They're just in really bad shape. They do not rush the passer well, or they're not pass block well at all. And I think it's going to have to make Dallas have to lean on the ground game because they cannot trust this kind of with these kind of numbers. You let them 40% pass pressure rate almost. You can't have your quarterback dropping back 30 times.
So the Eagles can get to Dak Prescott here. How can they cover? Not a great arsenal of weapons here.
No, not any great arsenal of weapons. If I'm them, I'm doing everything I can to take Amari Cooper out of the game because he's got he could be facing. Mills is I don't know what the latest.
Mills is out. Mills is out, and
he was on the injury report. So if Mills is out, you're going to have probably Darby against Gallup if you're looking at the matchup lineups to see how that goes. So you're going to have to give all kinds of help to Cooper and just hope Darby can keep up with Gallup. Gallup is a tear the top off the defense kind of guy, but he's kind of hit or miss. So if Darby plays up to what he can, then he should be able to take Gallup out. But you've got to be doubling Cooper all the time. And I would do high-low doubles. I would say I'm not going to let you beat us over the top. If you're going to beat us, inside-out stuff, that's fine. I'm not letting you beat me high-top.
Yeah, and then the tight end game for Dallas is almost non-existent. So the Eagles linebackers, they should be able to focus on the run game.
They should. Swaim is the Cowboys tight end now, and he's banged up, so they may end up going to Blake Jarwin. You know as much about him as I do, which is to say he's done nothing as a pass. He's a blocking tight end, and so they shouldn't have to worry about him at all. Jenkins, they should just, in fact, if I'm them, I might just try to go big nickel and say I'm going to bring Jenkins in, put another safety in there, and just have Jenkins start covering some of this. Because I think Jenkins could do a better job of covering some of these wide receivers than some of the corners are.
KC Joyner is with us breaking down the Eagles-Cowboys matchup here, some of the big matchups to watch. Philadelphia, obviously, they make that trade. They have the bye week here. Where's there a matchup that they can really exploit?
It's a tough call there because Dallas's run defense is so strong that I really think though they need to find ways to. I think they need to go after that slot matchup and see if Awuzi's as good as I think is. Plus, I think they'll move Awuzi outside too. I mean, he rotates around. He doesn't always play on the outside. But I'm going after Anthony Brown. If any of the receivers I can get up to go against him, it should be tape. But if it's Aguilar versus Brown, if it's Jeffrey versus Brown, I want to send 10 to 15 targets his way because I think he's the coverage weakness in their defense.
All right. And then, of course, you look at the other side, it's all Zeke Elliott. I mean, Dak Prescott really struggled, I thought, Monday night as we kind of look at him regressing a little bit. I mean, had to throw in the end zone. He throws an interception. He fumbled on his side of the field. So if you can kind of limit them, make them one-dimensional, it's going to be tough to see Dallas score, more than 17, 20 points?
I would think Dallas, by the way, that run blocking, the run block is supposed to be elite. Run blocking over the past 5 weeks, they're ranked 21st. Their run blocking metrics have not been that good. Dallas ranks 19th in my good blocking rate metric, which is how often you give a ball carrier quality run blocking. They're 25th in good blocking yards per attempt, which means when they get good blocking, they're only getting 6.7 yards per carry. It's not much. So, but if I'm Philly, I'm saying run the ball all you want because I think Philadelphia's front seven could stop the run and say, I'm going to stop the pass. I'm going to leave 7 in the box and leave everybody back in coverage and see if you can run because Dallas hasn't been doing it as well of late.
It's interesting. When they had that great line, they didn't have great weapons. Now they're starting to get, they got the running back. They got Cooper. Now their line's starting to fall apart. They're not getting those two things to coincide at the same time. But their defense can keep them in this game.
Their defense can keep them in this game. They've finally built a defense again. They've got really good people in coverage. Their cornerbacks can be strong if they play to their talent level. Their pass rush has been better. They're stopping the run exceptionally well. But again, if I'm Philadelphia, I still want to test them in every area because Dallas is still a very inconsistent team, and I think you can outplay call them. There's a report today that some people think that Dallas's play calling has been among the worst in the league, and this is a game where Peterson, you need to get really creative in the play calls because I think the play calling creativity can make up for what they're lacking in how well they're playing right now.
All right, let's take a look. We'll get Casey's pick on this game coming up, but Week 10 is here. Let's get a look at this matchup. Not a great schedule in week number 10. Not a lot of great matchups, but some meaningful games, especially for the Eagle fan out there on the NFC side. You're rooting for Detroit this week. They're at Chicago. The Bears 5-3. Casey at home. Should get Mac back. Detroit, they're one of those teams that just very tough to believe in at 3-5. Can they go on the road, though, and knock off the Bears?
The problem for Detroit is that they're having to adjust to the Matt Patricia way of doing things. He wants a different kind of team that they had last year, so this is a transition year for them. Their run defense has been terrible. I expect Chicago's going to run the ball very well. Chicago's run defense has been very good, too. They rank one in good blocking rate and a number of other metrics. They're very good, so I think they slow Kerryon Johnson down and win.
All right, New Orleans at Cincinnati. I mean, this one's interesting. The Bengals right now are a playoff team if they were to start today. They're right there with Pittsburgh, but New Orleans, now they're playing for the number 1 seed.
It's going to be an interesting game because Cincinnati lost A.J. Green, but the run defense matchup against the Saints, the Saints have fantastic run defense numbers this year. The Bengals have terrible run defense numbers, and the Saints don't want to throw the football more because Cameron Meredith got put on IR. Des Bryant looks like he's going to be put on IR too, so they don't have anybody in receiving course. So New Orleans needs to run the ball a ton. I think they run the ball a lot better and win.
Yeah, Des Bryant torn Achilles, it looks like, today, and before he even steps on a field, he will be out for the season. There are reports that the Saints are working out Brandon Marshall, the former Denver Giant Seahawk wide receiver. Probably somebody else in there. Jets? Did he play for the Jets too? Bears. Oh, well, yeah, Bears and Jets. A vagabond, if you will.
You got it.
Atlanta is at Cleveland. All of a sudden, Falcons are back in this thing, 4-4. They're playing better defense. So they just added Bruce Irvin to that defense. Cleveland's got all sorts of issues.
Cleveland's 32nd in the overall blocking of the past 5 weeks. Atlanta's doing a lot better. Big part of their problem was their blocking have been very bad first 5 weeks of the year. And of late, they've moved up to, they're not still doing great, but they're 11th overall in my overall blocking metrics. So they're doing, that's if they play at that level, they'll keep playing like this the rest of the season. I think that they're going to dominate this game.
All right, New England goes to Tennessee. Tennessee won on the road last week at Dallas. They went on the road at Jacksonville. They're not a bad home team here, but this is a different story. Vrabel versus Belichick. These games don't typically go well for the student against the teacher.
They don't, and Vrabel just has they've got some problems there. I know they look good against Dallas Monday night, but their blocking is still 31st of the past 5 weeks. You can't beat a Belichick team if you can't block well. I think they're going to find ways to get things done on defense, and they're finding enough ways to do things in offense. It's dink and dunk. They're not going vertical anymore because they don't have Cooks, and everybody they have can't go vertical. Gordon's helping them out, but Gronk has disappeared. But still, I think New England just outplay calls and wins.
Jacksonville heading to Indianapolis. Indy's been playing much better, specifically on offense. Jacksonville coming off of a bye. They've had all sorts of issues. Last we saw them, they were in London against the Eagles. Indianapolis has played much better football. They have the home field advantages. It's enough to knock off the Jags.
Indianapolis has the best overall blocking in the league over the past 5 weeks, number 1. You wouldn't think that coming into the season because it's just not who they were. They're run blocking exceptionally well, and they're pass blocking very well. Jacksonville's going to miss Mbouye. They may have another secondary issue as well, so they're not doing anywhere near as well in the secondary. Plus, they never like playing in Indianapolis. They look out of sorts every time they go there, so I'm taking the Colts.
Arizona goes to Kansas City. We know Arizona's probably not going to win. It's a 16.5-point spread. Kansas City seems like they're rolling. Doesn't seem like this is the week they're going to get slowed down.
I'm curious to see what Kansas City does, though, because Arizona, their advanced run defense metrics, when you look at good blocking rate and stuff, they rate very well, but they still give up a ton of yards on the ground. And Kansas City's probably not going to want to test them through the air as much as they would normally. And plus, Kansas City's defense is playing exceptionally well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Kansas City start to slow the game down a little more than usual and not be quite as high-powered, but they've got so many more weapons than Arizona. They easily win this.
Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, never mind. This is Buffalo in New York with 2 backup quarterbacks. Why do we care about this one at all?
I'll tell you a reason to care. If Josh Allen doesn't play, we get to see another game from Peterman, who's the worst quarterback in NFL history. And how many games are you going to be able to say that you saw the worst quarterback in NFL history play? So I kind of hope Peterman plays.
Didn't we say last week he's the worst quarterback in history?
Somebody did an analysis. Doug Farrar of I believe USA Today, he did an analysis and showed, statistically speaking, Nathan Peterman is the worst quarterback ever.
I'll agree with him. He went to Pitt, so that's a double whammy. Washington at Tampa. This one's interesting. Tampa can score. They can score a lot. Washington's so banged up. I'm interested to see how they react to losing the 2 guards. They lose Richardson, Peterson. You know, those guards are going to make Peterson all of a sudden look like, he's washed up when he's really had a great season. But Tampa at home.
I'm very curious to see what happens to Washington because they ranked 13th in my run blocking metrics over the past 5 weeks. But you lose both those guards. Are they Are they going to be able to stay at 13? Are they going to be dropping? Because they have to be a running team because they don't have the kind of weaponry to keep up with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is just an atrocious defense. But the thing is that Tampa Bay can get Washington to play that kind of shootout game. I think Tampa Bay wins. That's why I'm picking them, because I think they will be able to get Washington to have to play that kind of game. Washington can't keep up.
Chargers going to Oakland. They haven't been a double-digit road favorite, the Chargers, in a long, long time. But this would seemingly be a good spot for them to be a favorite. Oakland is just playing out the string.
I would be, if the Chargers had Tomlin as their coach, I'd be worried about Tomlin. I think that would show up. But Oakland, when I grade out their defense, I don't know that I've ever seen a worse defense. You almost can't pick a metric and find where they're any good. They're green rated almost all across their secondary. Their run defense is green rated. They're just an atrocious defense. So the Chargers don't win this by 3 touchdowns. I'm not trying.
All right, 3 touchdowns. Bet the Chargers. They're favored by 10. Miami at Green Bay. Green Bay's had a tough schedule. They played the Rams. They played the Patriots. But nice and cozy Lambeau Field against a Dolphins team that really has no identity.
Yeah, they don't. And I got to give the Dolphins credit for, they're still competitive and they're still winning games. They won last week and they played terribly, but Green Bay's they know who they are. They know what they want to be. They're down because they've lost a couple of big games, but they went toe-to-toe with 2 of the best teams in the league, like you said. I think they're going to still play at that level, and they should get at least a 7-point win.
All right, Seattle at L.A. Seattle's fighting 4-4, young team. It's certainly not that Legion of Boom, the teams that we saw in the recent past, but they're scrappy. They've been in some games. They fought hard, but can they go to L.A. and knock off the Rams? Could the Rams lose 2 in a row?
If I'm the Rams, I am very worried about my run defense. They're 29th of our run defense metrics of the past 5 weeks. We're not just talking a recency bias. We're talking about a good stretch of games there where they've had run defense that has been terrible. So if I'm them, I want to protect that run defense. I want to get up to a big lead and make Seattle have to keep up. So if I'm Los Angeles, I'm trying to throw the ball a lot and trying to do what I can there. So wouldn't be surprised to see them do like that and try and get Seattle out of their run-first mode, because Seattle will be able to run the ball if L.A. doesn't get them out of it. But I think L.A. will have enough to win.
All right, Dallas is at Philly, Sunday night football. We know Dallas 3-5, Philly's 4-4, coming off of a bye. You're just starting to feel like, all right, they got the win against Jacksonville. Is it now time for Philly to kick it into that second gear the back end of this season?
I do think it is. If close games, I tend to take the home team, and plus, I just think that Peterson's going to be able to pull a lot of creative tricks out of the bag. I think it's not just trick plays, but just creative play calls. I think he's going to outcoach the Cowboys, and I think that's going to be the key. It'd be probably a close game, but it's a 5-point win.
All right, and then Monday night, it's a stinker of a game. New York against San Francisco. You got the Giants really struggling. San Francisco, Mullins had a monster game. Can he tear it up again? Although, is Beathard back this week? I think Beathard might be. Is Beathard back or Mullins playing?
They're going to give it, as I understand, they're going to give it to Mullins. They want to give him another shot because, and Beathard had played well, but he was a little banged up. And again, you want to see what you got. If Mullins can do what he did again, you see what you've got. But the Giants have a lot of problems on defense, and San Francisco's been run blocking exceptionally well. They've got Breida and Morris, and they lost Monster, but they still got used to it because the guy actually could give 5 or 10 carries to, and he'd still do well for him. So I think that's going to be a difference. San Francisco wins.
A couple quick NFL notes. Morgan Moses, concussion for the Redskins. He's questionable. They would lose their 2 guards and now their right tackle. And Trent Williams is already out, so they could be down 4/5 of their offensive line. Some news coming out of Baltimore today. Joe Flacco is very much in question against the Bengals or next week against the Bengals. There's a lot of people, Casey, that think that maybe they should bench Flacco anyway.
Look, the competition made him play well early in the season, but the vertical game has gone away, and if I'm them, I don't understand why you don't at least try Lamar Jackson to see what he has. But if you're Harbaugh and you go with Jackson, it kind of says you're throwing the towel in the season, and then you wonder if the team is going to throw in the towel on you. So I would be surprised if they go that route, but if they probably should, because Jackson, I think he's got more big playability than Flacco by far.
All right, that's our look at week number 10 in the NFL. Not a great schedule this week. There's not a plethora of great games, but a lot of them have meaning in the playoff races, of course, and we'll keep you up to date. Monday at 5 o'clock, we'll recap the Eagles, the Cowboys, and week 10 of the NFL. Double digits with KC Joyner here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. All right, Casey, enjoy all the football.
Appreciate it, man.